Rain pelted the courthouse steps, drumming against my coat as I stood, unmoving, beneath the battered awning. My knuckles whitened around the handle of my umbrella, forgotten, unnecessary, because cold wetness seeped past my collar anyway, and I couldn't bring myself to walk away. I replayed the words from the attorney's mouth. They submitted documents that called your fitness into question. I begged for details, throat raw, pulse frantic. The judge had asked where the allegations came from. The answer clung to me, whispered in a voice I knew better than my own heartbeat. A copy of the letter, they let me see it. The neat curves of her handwriting, familiar as my childhood home, lay sprawled across legal paper. In my personal knowledge, her name signed at the bottom, looping, bold, I felt each sentence like a bruise. It was her, Jess, old Jess, friend for 20 years, secrets shared over gas station coffee and after midnight phone calls. Jess whose arms had wrapped me up after rough nights, whose laughter I trusted with my worst fears. Jess. Sabotaging me, I saw the lawyer's brow furrow as he laid the papers out. This addresses your temper. Did you ever? I shook my head, unable to force air through clenched lungs. She knows I'd never. I stepped away, as though distance could scrub away the betrayal. Panic twisted sharp inside me. I wanted to run to her, demand an answer, but the thought of her face made bile rise. Rage and disbelief tangled until everything familiar felt foreign. My hands trembled, not from the rain. Phone buzzing in my pocket, her name flashing like a dare. For years, Jess had been my anchor. Now she was the storm drowning me. I answered, voice brittle. Why? Static on the line. Then her sigh. I had to. They needed someone. Blood roared in my ears. You volunteered, Jess. You made them doubt I'm fit to be a parent. Did you even care what that would do to me, to my kid? I pressed my fist against my mouth. The courthouse lights blurred. Her reply came, slow, practiced. Listen, you know about Georgia custody laws. If they see any instability, they strike. I was scared for her. She's safer with me than anyone. The ache in my chest pulsed, each word scraping raw. You'll bounce. Blinding headlights streaked past as I sat in my car, engine off, keys limp in my lap. The wipers thumped, fighting the persistent drizzle, but the world outside blurred, the sounds, the lights. The city itself, all garish and too loud. My chest felt carved hollow, ribcage aching from stress held too taut and too long. I knew the courthouse would reopen in a few hours, and I knew I'd see Jess again, not as a friend, but as an adversary. My phone lay on the passenger seat. I wrestled for breath, thumb hovering over the search bar. Family law therapist near me. My voice cracked, small inside the steel and glass cocoon of my vehicle. Shame prickled, but I pressed send. Menacing legalese words haunted me. Unfit, custody, evaluations. I needed help, needed someone to guide me through this labyrinth that Jess had dragged me into. The receptionist's voice was gentle. Too gentle. We have an opening in 30 minutes, she offered, implying urgency that I clung to, like a lifeline. The office hum smelled of lavender and plastic chairs. I sat, twisting a tissue round my finger, trying not to cry. When the therapist introduced herself, I muttered my name, feeling the weight of every syllable. I think my best friend is trying to destroy my life, I blurted, not caring how it sounded. The words tumbled out like stones, incomplete, jagged. I explained how Jess had submitted that letter, how the accusations dripped with half-truths and omissions. She nodded, taking notes, asking quiet questions. Do you trust your own version of events? She asked. I faltered, staring at the floor. Did I? Jess had spun so many stories over the years, a crisis with her landlord, a mean supervisor, a careless boyfriend. I'd always believed her side. Had I missed something? Had I let her play me? She leaned forward, eyes kind but sharp. Has Jess ever made you doubt yourself? Is this a pattern with her, or is this new? I dug back through years of friendship, recalled moments she'd rewritten, history minor slights magnified, blame redirected with an apologetic smile. She'd been generous, nurturing, but always in control. Had I mistaken her comfort for manipulation? The idea soured in my gut. When the session ended, I drove in silence. Every mile weighted with implication. My hand shook as I pressed my signature onto the form, the black ink bleeding slightly at each letter. The petition felt heavier than its paper, a declaration against Jess, as if I was carving our history into something cold and irrevocable. Esther from the parent support group squeezed my shoulder, murmuring, "You're doing what's needed to protect your daughter." Her voice was sunlight in the fluorescent chill of the clerk's office. I'd gathered documents obsessively for days, text messages, emails, receipts. Each sheet was proof, another stitch in the armor I was trying to build, because every hour brought new doubts. Jess's voice always lived at the edge of my thoughts, twisting my certainty. Sometimes I'd wake at night gasping, the words from her affidavit scraping my mind. I have personal knowledge. I'd clutch my pillow, replay the therapist's questions, reminding myself the truth lived in my memories, not her version. At home, colored files covered the kitchen table. My daughter Mia peeked over my shoulder and frowned. "Are we winning?" she asked, eyes darting, seeking reassurance. I tried to smile, but it faltered. "We're fighting, baby," I said, "and fighting means doing the hard things." She wrapped her arms around me, a silent plea for stability. Court days came fast. Standing behind the wooden rail, I stared across the room at Jess. She wore her hair twisted back, her features rigid, her eyes refusing mine. The judge voice boomed, each question pressed into me like a brand. My lawyer, Miss Waring, laid out the documentation, one piece at a time, a timeline of Jess's shifting stories, discrepancies woven tight. My breath shuddered in my chest as she called the expert witness, Dr. Pritchard, the custody evaluator, took the stand with calm, unhurried authority. She reviewed my parenting logs, the therapist's notes, the pattern within Jess's statements. Her words colored what I'd feared into something clear. Ms. Jess's reports contain inconsistencies, indicating potential personal bias. The emotional content appears disproportionate to the objective facts. I watched Jess's jaw clench, her fingers curling inward. Every rebuttal sounded practiced, metallic. I wanted to call out, to remind her of movie nights and bad jokes, rain-soaked secrets. But the courtroom was not our kitchen. It was a crucible for honesty, for consequences. Nia's drawing sat folded in my pocket,